In decades past, buying a comic book would give you a complete story. But nowadays, the story just continues on, issue after issue after issue. We'll take a look back at some comics from different time periods, different companies, different writers, and see, are these comics any good? Can you read them out of context? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Comic Books Out of Context. You know, it used to be when you got a comic book, you got a complete story. You could read it from beginning to end, and you got everything you needed to enjoy and fully understand that story. But nowadays, comic books are so broken up and so expanded and showing you every tiny little detail that's going on in these characters' lives that it's gotten to the point where they have to go 5, 10, 20 issues sometimes to get completely through a story because they've broken it down so much. And in fact, a lot of comic book writers aren't even writing comics because they like comics. They're writing comics to pitch a Netflix series or try to get a movie script out there. So what I've done is I've bought a bunch of comics over the last few months from different comic book stores, comic conventions, whatever. I mean, yes, there's been a pandemic and things were shut down, but when things opened, I went in and started digging through a bunch of discount boxes, and when we had a convention here in town, I went in and grabbed a bunch of stuff out of the dollar boxes, and I looked for random stuff from different comic book series, from different publishers, from different time frames. There's stuff from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s. There's even stuff from the 2000s in here. And I'm mixing this up, and I'm going to pick one at random. I don't know what I'm reading today. Now, you know, of course, because you've clicked on the thumbnail in order to watch the video. So you're in the future, I'm stuck in the past. Your past is my present, and in my present, I'm going to be reading a comic today that I am shuffling and pulling out of this deck. Today we are reading Superman number 368. Can you read this comic book out of context? Let's take a look. Okay, having just read Superman number 368 from 1982. Actually, it says February 82, so it's probably December of 81. But, still long time ago as far as comic books are concerned. This is a great example of what I mean when you could get an entire story in a single comic book. In fact, you got two stories in this comic book. It says more pages, 60 cents, but it doesn't actually say how many pages exactly. But we have not only the main story of Superman fighting against the Superman Revenge Squad, we also have an all-new adventure of Superman 2020. That's right, because 2020 was so far off into the future back in those days that it's actually the story of Superman 3, the grandson of Superman, who is continuing the legacy of New Metropolis, the floating city in the sky, because in 2020 everything is so futuristic and they had flying cars, and man, that's a downer. But anyway, so in our main story, we have the Superman Revenge Squad, who we're introduced to. We don't really know who they are. We just know that they are enemies, but we find out as the story goes along that the Superman Revenge Squad is this group that has been trying to destroy Superman ever since his days as Superboy in Smallville. So even if you knew nothing about the Superman Revenge Squad, you get information about them. There's this new villain who has been joining their ranks, who's been trying to prove his worth, Vlaatu, I believe his name is how it's pronounced. And as he leaves to go on his mission to destroy Superman, he reverts back into being Superman. Turns out that Superman used some sort of special device on himself to turn himself into this lizard alien Gorn monster. He goes through all the training, but he has no memory that he actually is Superman. So when he leaves, he comes back to Earth. He's turned back into his normal self, and then his machine extracts the memories from his brain of his short time as Vlaatu, and then he's able to look at it and find out what the plans were of the Superman Revenge Squad. But we find out that the Superman Revenge Squad actually knew that it was Superman in disguise, and they put a post-hypnotic suggestion in him, knowing that Superman would turn back into himself, that when he saw his reflection, he would believe that he was an android built by the Superman Revenge Squad out to destroy Superman. Not being able to find Superman would then destroy everything that Superman cares for in his personal life, and therefore it would destroy Superman that way. Superman would then destroy everything he cares about, not realizing that he was the one destroying himself. It's a little convoluted, I admit. It's a Cary Bates story with beautiful artwork by Curt Swan. It's just one of those that is... When people say Superman is too overpowered, you read the modern comics and you're like, nah, not really. They do a pretty good job in the last, 20, 30 years. Not in this time period. This is the time period where he needs to make a cure for something, and so with his super speed and super intellect, he can whiz through in about 5 seconds and come up with an antidote for something, because he is Superman. He has the ability, someone throws something on the ground and they're going to destroy, whatever liquid is in there, and Superman can just use his super breath to inhale every last particle of whatever's being spilled on the ground without, I guess, getting any of the glass or any of the dirt off the ground, whatever. It's able to filter just what he needs, so then he can go back and exhale it and blow it out everywhere and put the stuff where it needs to go. So this is the super overpowered version of Superman, but the story still works. It's still fully contained. Every time a new character appears, the book explains who they are. Supergirl appears. Oh, it's his cousin, the other remaining person who has survived from Krypton. Lois Lane appears, and it says she's the reporter at the Daily Planet who Superman is fallen in love with, and they have this relationship, whatever. Like, it explains everything. If you didn't know a single thing about Superman, you would learn that he was the last of his kind, that he was on Earth, that he was fighting for humanity, that he was with Lois Lane, that he was a reporter, that she was a reporter, and that's how they met and they fell in love. That he has every power you can think of under the sun, and he can use those powers to infinity and beyond. This lays out everything so perfectly to follow that any new reader could pick this up as their first comic and have no problem following through, understanding the story. And then Superman 2020, a concept that I don't remember at all. I don't remember Superman 3 being the third version of Superman, so to speak. Not the movie, obviously. I remember Richard Pryor. But this being the grandson of Superman. We see Clark Kent as an old man TV reporter, showing what's going on with New Metropolis. And in 2020, New Metropolis it's a floating city in the sky, and then on New Year's Eve it drops like the ball used to drop in Times Square, it says, and then that marks the new year. Everybody says Happy New Year, and they're able to do whatever mechanical work they need to do on New Metropolis before it rises back up into the sky and lives on as another year as the floating city of New Metropolis, which is kind of a neat idea. Except, apparently, in New Metropolis in 2020, someone released a virus. And the virus in 2020 is going to destroy everybody. Boy, that's a little awkward to read right now. Yeah, that's funky as... In fact, who wrote that? This is... The backup story was, of course, not written by the same guys. Bob Rozakis? Rozakis? I don't know who that is, but, Yeah, so the virus is going to be unleashed, and Superman the Third, or Superman 3 as he is known, his real name, it even gives his real name, John Hudson. He's a traffic controller, aka Superman 3, so it explains where he came from, what he does. If you didn't know any of that, which I didn't, it explains how he's related to Superman, which I didn't know. There's even a point where one of the bad guys says something to Superman 3. He's like, "You don't kill, that's one of your things." And he goes, "You must be thinking of my grandfather. That's not me. I kill people all the time." And then he drops the guy from super high, but then gives a little of super breath in order to make a cushion of air so the guy doesn't die. It just kind of knocks him out, but it makes the other guy he's holding on to freak out and give up the goods on what's happening. So you can see that he is a different character than the original Superman. So, yeah, not only did this give a complete story, it gave 2 complete stories, and both stories, when read, make complete sense. They explain everything. The story works out in the end, and if this was the first thing you ever read of anything of Superman, it would work. In fact, if you were to give this to someone today who had never read something Superman, but, you know, of course, knew the basics from what they saw in the movie trailers and what they know just from pop culture, this would not seem out of place at all, probably. They might kind of question the Superman 2020 and the floating cities and the flying cars, because we obviously do not have any of that stuff. But as far as it goes, it just works on its own. So yeah, Superman 368 from 1982 is a comic book that you can read out of context. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.